Hey there, card readers. April here on Tarot and Witchery with yet another VR. This one is to Astro Lady Tarot and her hashtag my disheveled decks. I thought this was super fun, and it was really neat for me to think about my decks and how some of them are kind of old, and you know, do I still like them? Do I love them? Why do I still have them around? Just a great tag. So I'm going to jump into it. I know I haven't been around very much lately. I just got back from a funeral and it has been an intense couple of weeks, but I'm happy to be back here kind of vibing in on all of you, and I hope that you find yourself well and enjoying the spring, or for those of you who are lucky enough to be in the Southern Hemisphere, the fall, which is my favorite season. No joke, you guys, I just recorded this entire video without pushing record. So here we go again, take two. Deck number one is my tried and true RWS. Take a look at the side of this, you guys. Look at how thrashed it is. You look from the top, look at that. The warping, the whole deck is warped. Oh, it's dirty. Look at that horrible stain on there. Can you see that? It's like dirty. So this deck, if anybody knows what this deck is, because again, I'm going to say I do not know what the name of this deck is. I don't have the box anymore. It just came in a little tuck box. If anybody knows the name of this RWS from the back pattern, then please let me know. So, you guys, this was the first deck that I spent good money on. I saw it on TarotTube and I just had to have it. It's the coloring that's more like what Pamela Coleman Smith wanted, or that's So the Story Goes. I searched it out and found it, and this deck was like the first time I spent real money on a deck. Up until that point, I think I'd spent like 20 bucks on a deck, maybe 22 bucks on a deck, and and so I paid to have this shipped over from England, and that was the big expense, was the shipping abroad. And I got it, and then I had it in my reading basket. I carry a basket in my car during the summer that I take into the park with me when I'm going to read. And I had a water bottle in there. You know where this is going. Oh my gosh, the horror when I found that this deck was soaked. I mean, just soaking wet. So I very carefully peeled it apart, and I don't know if I'm going to find the one of them actually. So look, a couple of them are like this. See that damage there? Oh, sorry. See that damage there? It's pretty bad. That's where I peeled them apart, and it took them apart, literally delaminated them. So I laid them out and dried them. And at the very end, even there, you can see it. At the very end, I tried to press them a little bit to get them a little bit straighter. But as you can see, it did not work. It did not work. So interestingly enough, I thought about trying to find this deck and reorder it. But I love it. I love the way it feels in my hands, and even the damage on it. Like, it doesn't bother me that it doesn't lay flat. It's actually easier to get off my flat table because it's not sticking. I love this deck. It's an old friend. It's been through thick and thin with me. I've had it. It's just like the first deck that I really invested in, that I really wanted, that I really had to have. And then to have it, you know, get ruined kind of. It's actually not ruined to me. It's actually better like this to me. And it is, there's that same card again. It is just a favorite deck. And though I don't reach for this deck all the time, when I want a deck that's easy, I'm going to reach for it. Look at how bad this one is. Look at that. Can you see that? That's just so bad right there. This is the one I'm going to reach for. So it's just a tried and true friend. Again, if you know the name of this one, please let me know. Next, deck number two, no surprise, is the Druidcraft Tarot. And I think maybe you can see, I think you can see right there, just the hand marks, like where because I shuffle like this, you know, so it's like dirty right there from my hands all the time. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if you can see just how scuffed the backs are. Can you see that? They are so scuffed, and I'm not going to belabor this one. Everybody knows what the Druidcraft looks like. I actually bought another deck because I wanted to modify the deck. These are just, they're so dirty. They're so yellow. You guys, I will read out my garden, and then I've like been weeding and my hands are dirty, and these just, they're very dirty, and they don't lay perfectly flat, but I love them. And like I said, I bought another deck so I could mod it, so I could take off the sides. I just want to take off the white borders, but I don't know that I will reach for it if I mod it, because I love this deck. I love the fact that this is worn and we've had such a history, and I can feel it in there. I do not reach for this deck that much, but I do reach for this deck when I'm in a place where I'm tired, like I'm weary. This deck is so easy to read. I don't have to think hard, and yet the messages are straight shooting for me. And so I do love this deck for that reason. Deck number 3, no surprise, is The Power of Surrender cards by Judith Orloff. And this deck is an oracle deck. Can you see, I'm going to try to get it on there. Can you see how worn off the gilding is? Like, the gilding is so incredibly worn off. What makes this deck really wonderful is that my daughter gave it to me. And I just love that. You know, she didn't have a lot of money. She bought it for Christmas for me. I mean, I think it was like $22 or something, but that was a lot for her. And it just came from her. And this deck is a straight shooter. Like, this is an everyday deck. Like, you can pull one of these cards on top of your spreads to remind you where it is in your life you're holding on to stuff too much. Like, where is it that I need to loosen my grip? Where is it that I need to lean into? They're so straight shooting, and they really go quite to the heart of the matter. So I wanted to show you. I like this deck so much, I have another copy. And this one, I don't need the whole thing. This one, like, I'm going to see if we can see, like, if we can just hold this up and see up there. Like, well, I guess you can't really tell on camera, but this one, the new one, is like so shiny. It is so shiny, and the gilding on it is in perfect condition, whereas the gilding on here is just really old and just not really shiny anymore. I absolutely love this deck, and I will always have this deck. And the weird thing is that I have this copy for in the house, but sometimes I come outside and I get the old deck because I like it better. It just feels better in my hands. It's just, it's an old friend. Deck number 4, and I talked about this on my lesser known Oracle decks, 6 underrated Oracle decks, is the Divine Energy Oracle. This was a matte deck, but it's even more worn down at this point. And honestly, the sides of it are so dirty. It's a little bit bowed, but not much. It's actually maintained its shape pretty well. But it's dirty. I know, yeah, make it sound like I like dirty things, but I do love dirt. I love getting in the dirt, let me tell you. I'm a gardener. I actually majored in horticulture, you guys. So, yeah. I love this deck. I feel like this is such a great deck. If you get a reading from me, chances are you will get one of these cards. And it never fails. It never fails me. So I keep coming back to it. And like I said, the feel of the cards, like they're scratched, like the sides are raggedy. I just love it. It feels so good in my hands. And like I said, the messages are so straightforward. Look at that. Speak up. Just love this deck. And I'm so glad that it is disheveled, because when I put it in my hands, it just feels good. Does anybody else have that, like with your older decks? You know, it's not that I don't love a shiny new deck, but man, there's something about one that's worn that we have so much energy that we've exchanged with one another, and that I've exchanged with other people even, where these messages have meant so much. The last deck that I have before I show you something else, little teaser there. This deck right here was a gift from, and this is really hard to get open, so I have to kind of work at it, was a deck from, her name is Cali Cat on Instagram. She is a follower of mine, and we just have a really super special connection. She's an artist, and I love her art, and she just transports me with her photography. This deck, the Grand Atia Egyptian Gypsies Tarot. This was her grandmother's. And you can see this is so old. Look at this, you guys. I mean, look, you can make notes if you want. But like back here, you'll see that the binding is like coming apart at some point in the middle there. So it's interesting, like, look, it goes from the 9 of rods to the Knight of rods. Like it's telling you to go north. Oh, look at that. It's totally coming apart. So you have to be super careful with it. This deck, sorry, you're probably not going to be able to get it anywhere, you guys. Look at it. It is, first of all, it's massive. Here's the backs. Look at the backs of it. It is cardboard. These are actually pieces of cardboard. And it is incomplete, so there's that. I do not really read with it very often. It is something that when I pull it out, I use it more like an oracle because things are named differently. Like here's the Stranger, which is the Fool maybe. But you can see it's number 25 on here. And then you turn it over, like the reversals have different. So nouvelle or news. So here's your cups, right? And so the deck is Pippish. Here's the blonde man, right? Turn it upside down and it's man with position. And I don't know if that's so that I could put them so that you could read it. I don't know. And I would be reading it at the same time. When I pull this out, which is very rarely, first of all, because it's like an antique. It's so old. When I pull it out, I think of Cali Cat. I think of our connection. I think of what makes life sacred. I think of the gift of this, like to be given something so beautiful, so special, so unique, such a treasure. It just warms my heart. And again, like I said, this is something that you use more like, so look, here's like the tower, or what you would consider the original tower, but it's called Poverty or Prison. How's that for different? So I can't read it like a regular deck. Grimonde, made in France. So it would be Grand Antilles, France. Look at the tape, you guys. Can you see that? Can you see how it's been taped so many times with the old tape that was really like narrow? 1969. So it's not that old, but it is old. So 1969. It is friendship. It is the wonder and the beauty of the internet bringing me together with someone who inspires me, like we inspire each other, and just a friendship that came out of that, and just the beauty of that is in these cards. It's in the bag. Like here, you guys smell the bag, smell it. Her art and her pictures are from India, and this smells like an ashram. It's a whole experience, literally. So Thea on Garden Goddess had this great idea to share some of her kind of like worn, disheveled tarot books. And I thought that was super, super cool. So Thea on Garden Goddess, if you don't know her, check out her channel. Very cool. Book number 1 is my Star Tarot book. And I don't know if you can see, but can we see that? Look, it's like tattered. Look at the back, you guys. Let's see if I can get it to do it. Do you see how scuffed it is? Like this book is so scuffed. You open it, it turns really easily because I've used it so much. I like to use my stuff and I like to feel comfortable with it. I mean, I don't want to trash it, but the fact that the pages turn really easily and the sheen is worn down on this, it makes it a treasure for me. Next book is my Tarot of the Holy Light book. And I don't know, can I get it in the light? If you can see how it's kind of bowing right there, like from me opening it so much. And again, there's some areas where I've really opened up to and probably cracked the spine. Whoops. You can see I've got some notes going on there. I spent so much time in this book, like day after day after day in this book for like 2 years, just really gobbling up this tarot and getting to know it. I have to tell you, if you don't want to get the tarot, like if it's not, where is it? Here it is. If it's not the tarot for you, because it is really funky, it's really like alchemical. If it's not the tarot for you, the book is amazing. The book is, it's about alchemy. This book will blow your mind, you guys. She's super amazing. She is a scholar, and she'll make a reference to, like in this card, and then she'll just make offhand reference to this myth, and you'll go, well, I got to go look up that myth. And then you'll come back and she'll just mention some alchemical process, and you'll think, oh, I need to read up on that. This book will blow your mind. Such a good book. And I love the fact that it is completely broken in. That just makes me super happy. Next is my 78 Degrees of Wisdom. I'm sure lots of you have this book, and you can see it's just kind of old and tattered. The truth is that I had a copy of this in the yellow, and I think this one's just I want to say was just produced earlier. Like this is an older version of it. I had a copy in the yellow and I had used it, and then I saw this copy out, and the pages are like really yellow and it's just really worn in. Look, there's an old bookmark from like an old store in there. And I bought this version because I could just tell that somebody had used this, like really used it, really put their hands all over it. And so out of the 2 copies, this is the one that I reach for because I feel like this has history and I get to be a part of that history, and I can feel that energy that someone else put into this book, and I love it for that reason. And then the last book that I want to share with you is the Tarot Handbook. And this book, look at it, you guys. It is just torn up. It is just so kind of thrashed. And I want to say, I went out to buy this book, and I could have purchased one that was way newer, in better condition. And I think it was just like maybe $1 cheaper for this one. But somebody read the heck out of this book and they loved it. And I love all the dents on it. And it's been taped, like the spine is taped. It's all taped up right here. Can you see right there, the tape on it? Yep. I have not really read this book. I've just looked at it. I got this book in preparation for 2023 when I plan on doing the Thoth, like really getting into the Thoth. And so I got this book for that reason. And I got this particular copy of this book because I could feel the history in this book. I could feel that someone had really poured over these pages and had loved it. And I love that it's imperfect because I'm imperfect. And when I go to crack open this book, I'm not going to feel as overwhelmed because I'm going to feel like somebody got into this book and they got it. You know, I can too. And it almost feels like it was given to me by someone. Like, I love a shiny new book, don't get me wrong, but I really love something like this that has history on it. It's a beautiful thing to have and be a part of. Thank you so much, Astral Lady Tarot, sorry, for this tag. I really loved it. And I want to let all of you know that I am going to be teaching a bibliomancy course with tarot. That's going to take place in July. I'm going to be talking about it all in June, but if you are interested in possibly doing that with me, then you should go ahead and sign up for my newsletter down below. It's called The Whisper. And then you'll get notified when I release that and talk about what I'm going to do in that course. Thank you so much for watching, and until we meet again, may your disheveled decks be the old friends that you always reach for.